What if your connection to the spirit world was closer than you think? What if your unique way of seeing the world is the key to connecting the two worlds? Welcome to a Sanctuary for the Soul podcast. Join us as we delve into the heart of spiritual development, from the practical guidance and mediumship to the best way to live a heart-based life.
We are here to facilitate healing, awaken your intuition, and help you navigate your path with confidence. Speaking from our own deep journeys, we've learned to experience the world and the spirit world with a unique sensitivity. This is our space to share that perspective with you. Let's explore the connection together.
Good afternoon, madame. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good. We're back in the game, aren't we?
We are back in the game, like the England team. We're back in the game. We're still going.
You got your glasses on today.
Yes, I have. I can see more clearly now. I can see clearly now. There's a song there in that title, isn't there? I can see clearly now. My glasses are on. There you go. I've heard, this is just anecdotal, that glasses make you look more intelligent. So I'm going for the more intelligent look for those that are actually looking at this episode. And for those that aren't, you'll just need to use your imagination. Imagine me, but more intelligent. All right. So, which takes me seamlessly into the title of our episode, and that is, what is consciousness and why does it matter? So, in my opinion, everyone is conscious. We have to be. Well, not to be alive. We don't have to be conscious to be alive, but to interact with the world, we need to be conscious. But how many people ever stop, Liz, and ask what consciousness actually is? So if we spend our entire lives experiencing consciousness, which is really another word, just a fancy word of saying aware, consciousness is awareness. And if we do spend our entire lives being conscious, but not really understanding it, then are we missing something? And why is consciousness important at all? What are your thoughts?
I think at its most basic level, when you think about being conscious, it's having that balanced internal state so that you see or start to perceive with more clarity. So when there's lots of, I suppose, interference, and we could think about interference in terms of projections upon us of who we are or should be. We can think about things like emotions, unresolved discomforts in our lives, expectations placed upon us from society, or, I could go on and on, all these sort of things that create a mask or an expectation upon us, and we're trying to meet it, or we're viewing the world through those different things. That impacts our conscious awareness because we're only experiencing the world through that.
Okay.
Whereas when we come back to a very balanced, heart coherent internal state, then our awareness is clearer. Would you say?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, how would we, if we were describing consciousness to, someone that had no concept of it and they just, landed on Earth and they said, I've heard about consciousness. What is it? And I was kind of thinking, what would I say to them? I guess in a nutshell, it is an awareness of the internal and external world that you perceive. I think is the shortest possible way of me saying it.
Mm.
And that really encompasses everything kind of in one sentence almost from my perspective. Now, obviously, you're exploring this from the position of a psychologist. So
Mm.
therefore, your understanding of it is infinitely greater than mine. And I come at things from maybe a more black and white or simplistic perspective. And I'm kind of thinking, what is it? Consciousness is also awareness. Awareness is what is happening internally via my emotions, my upbringing, my thoughts, my ideas, my ideals, my philosophy, my morals. That is all allowing me to be conscious of the world. And everything that I've ever learned is like a benchmark against everything that I see.
Absolutely. Yeah, your internal state is going to impact how you experience everything outside yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you were, for example, if I was brought up in a very let's say a very rigid regime whereby I I I wasn't allowed to experience pleasure in any form whatsoever. And then suddenly you said, well, Auntie, now you've got to go and live in the real world. You've had 30 years experience our life, now have 30 years experiencing what we call normal humanity. And I suddenly go out into the world having never experienced what it was to experience pleasure. And I see this, what must appear like this alien hedonistic lifestyle. And then they say, after 30 years, so how did it go? And then your mind is blown, isn't it? Because
Mm.
you'll say, this is beyond anything that I can describe because I've got no frame of reference. And so you then look at it and think, it seems like we're living a very alien lifestyle, but
I,
it's only based on the experience that we had prior to it.
yeah, I think the other thing that I
Mm,
would say really impacts that
yeah.
experience of awareness and
Hmm.
consciousness is that desire that's very naturally human to control everything in our environment and our
Yeah.
relationships
Yeah.
and the way our lives are going. Whereas I think when you come into a more balanced, coherent state, your ability to be more in flow, it
Yeah.
is going to enhance that experience of possibility within what it is to be consciously aware. Whereas when we're in, I suppose it's in more of a fearful state. Again, it's that internal fearful state creates a need to control. So then you
Mm.
limit your 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 conscious awareness, don't you?
So when we get in that fearful state, are we moving from like a, I don't know how you'll need to explain, can't maybe what I mean, but when we're conscious, maybe there's more of the modern human part of our brain is
Mm.
involved. And when we're in a fearful state, we've got more to that. Is it the reptilian or
Yeah,
mammalian brain? Which way is
absolutely.
it?
Yeah,
So do we
so
keep going from one to the other?
yeah, so there's this understanding that originally we had very much the old brain, which is
Yeah,
the hunter gatherer,
yeah,
run from the woolly mammoth, stay safe,
yeah,
find food, procreate, and then over time we've developed this new brain, which helps us to analyze, perceive,
yeah,
predict, comprehend, compare, um, which has obviously led to things like overthinking, worrying, and ruminating.
mm,
Um, because we've still got the old brain. So we've got this old, very stimulus response way of being, but we've evolved this very new analytical, predictive way of being. And
yeah.
together, unfortunately, it can create this fear or this rumination. And that really affects, I think, and puts a limit in terms of our conscious awareness.
Okay. So we're thinking about what consciousness actually does,
Mm,
and it is maybe the lens with which we experience life. It's how we, I guess, how we work out what our identity is.
mm.
So if we're not conscious, then how can we possibly have a sense of who we are? Um,
Yeah.
so here's a question: are we fully conscious?
Mm. What would it mean to be fully conscious, though?
This is it. Well,
Mm.
do you think that we experience life kind of like we're on autopilot, or what would it mean to live life more fully consciously? So
Well,
is it, sorry,
it would be to be fully in the moment,
mm,
because that is, well, that's the essence of mindfulness and compassion, which is very Buddhist.
took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, it sounds like a very Buddhist point of view. So maybe the Buddha
Mm.
was really onto something, and you know, let's just assume that he knew what he was talking about. I
I
think
think
that's
he
probably,
might have.
I think is pretty fair. But you know, has he spent that, what was it, like 12 years or something, sitting under the Bodhi tree?
Well, a very long period of
He spent
time,
a
yeah.
very long time, and he renounced everything that he ever knew,
Yeah.
and he was waiting to have that aha moment. And he went through he went through extreme suffering and starvation and depriving
Mm.
himself of everything, and then I guess he realized that when we're worrying about tomorrow or we're ruminating about the past, we can never live in the moment and we can never
No.
really be fully conscious. And so, but if we are in that moment and we are studying the beauty of that leaf or that animal or the sky or water or whatever's happening inside us, maybe to some degree we could say that we are becoming fully conscious, maybe just for
Mm.
a moment. And
And so, what brings us into
mm,
the ability to be more mindful in the moment is the feeling of safety.
yeah,
And that comes from the feeling of compassion and love.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when you know that I think we always experience life where it really feels we're having our best life,
Mm.
when we are in a state of happiness,
Mm.
a state of love, a state of feeling secure and safe. And that can't be just coincidence, because I think if we spoke to any person around the world and we said to them, if I could guarantee you felt loved and safe and you didn't need to be fearful, do you think your enjoyment of life would be less or more than it is at the moment? And I
Mm.
think without exception, it would be more than, because I think when we are living in this very peaceful, loving state, I think we truly do start to live in the moment.
Mm.
So,
Definitely.
have we answered the question, or have we raised more questions by asking it?
I think we have started to answer it well from our perspective. Um, I think the way to become more conscious, if you would, if someone was to say to us, okay, right, I want to step onto that learning of how I become more consciously aware.
Yeah,
I mean, what would the first thing be that we would suggest? I think it's slowing down, noticing what drives the way that you view or react to
yeah,
situations,
yeah.
um, and start to notice, what is it that's driving the way you experience the world and your motives at the moment.
Well, it's going to be what's the word when we're talking about the things that have happened to us, like being in
Mm.
control of our behavior? What is that, Liz? What am I trying to
What do you
think?
mean?
You know, when you behave in a certain way, and it's because the way, like conditioning, like you're kind of a result of your upbringing. What is that I'm trying to say here?
Oh, so learnt behaviours.
Yeah, kind of. I think there's a word that I'm looking for, but it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But I think if you've been raised in a certain way, you're going to view the world in a certain way.
Yeah,
Now,
until you make that decision
yeah, until you
or
become,
become conscious that that is
that's the
happening.
word, is it? It's so that I was, that I want to elaborate on when I become more conscious. So, say for example, if someone said to me, every time you have someone make a comment, it's a personal comment and it's a dig, and you should run away from them. So, if I was told that that is what I should do every time someone makes a comment about me, then as soon as someone opens the mouth, I learn to become fearful and I learn to be ready to run away. And then if someone says to me, well, actually, Andy, no, what you really want to do is you want to listen to the comment and to feel and become conscious and aware of what the person is saying, but understand that actually it's only their opinion. Their opinion actually has no bearing upon you and how you feel unless you choose to allow it to have a bearing on how you feel.
Mm.
And so if you don't take it on board, how can it be in control? And I guess a lot of our behavior is almost automatic, isn't it? It's like they go, oh, Andy, you've got a bald head. And I go, that's so hurtful. I hate it. Why would you say that? And I'm never going to talk to anyone again because, that's such a hurtful thing to say. Or I could say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I love it. And then they go, oh, okay. And so it could either be I'm in a fear state and I
Mm.
feel that rejection, or
Yeah.
I'm in a, yes, I love that. Don't you? And
Yeah.
then where is the
Yeah.
power? There is no power in their behavior or their comment unless I choose to give them power. If I hand over my sense of worth to them and say, please tell me what I'm worth. And they go, oh, well, you have a bald head. Oh, well, that's terrible. I feel so sorry for you. And then I go, yes,
That
but I love it. It's one of the things I really love.
I love the fact you've used your bald head as the example. Can I just say that?
Well, yes, you're welcome to love it if you wish. Um, but but I genuinely, people used to say, and they said, oh, I see you're losing your hair, aren't you? And I go, yeah. They said, does it make you sad?
Really?
I said, why would it make me sad? They said, well, because, you're so young. I mean, like you wouldn't believe that I'm more than 35. But I actually am. And they would say, oh, doesn't it bother you? I said, I've never seen my father really, or my grandfather, any different to how I am. I
No,
said, so what is normal to you is different to what is normal to me. And so therefore,
exactly
what
that.
I'm looking at is just what I describe as normal. So it doesn't occur to me that there's something, quote, wrong with me. It just occurs to me that I am like those that have gone before me.
Yeah.
So therefore, my sense of worth isn't that you approve of or disapprove of how much hair I have. It is that, because that to me is such an innocuous question. But if you said to me, um, "Oh, I hear that you're very ignorant," that might hurt my feelings because I will go, "Well, hmm, that's actually not the case, and here's why." Or if they said,
Mm.
"I hear that you're very compassionate," and that would massage my ego, and I would think, "Oh yes, I think you're correct." So if I'm basing my worth upon someone else's opinion, then is it really me being conscious, or am I just being led down my experience of life by someone else?
And that is why, really, I think you've given a good example of why it's about shedding a lot of what's been said and
Yeah.
done, and experienced.
Hmm.
And when I say shedding, I mean either processing, releasing, letting go, or just becoming aware of how that drives our experience.
Yeah.
to become more consciously aware. Because if you're on automatic pilot, or you're responding to every interaction, relationship, or experience day to day from
Yeah.
just a reactive state of what's happened, then you're
Okay.
not conscious, are you?
No. No, I don't think you are. And so if we think about the becoming more conscious and
Mm.
how it relates to health, where do you want to go with that?
In terms of how it relates to health,
Yeah. Like, our sort of mental and physical health.
yeah,
Is there a benefit
wow.
to being more conscious?
How, I mean, what an amazing topic area to open up. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm delighted by this. This is a book, but yeah, becoming more conscious is going to massively and radically change your psychological, emotional, and physical health, because everything is linked. We can't dispute that our thoughts and our behaviors are impacting our well-being and choices are impacting our well-being at every given moment.
Okay, so let's have a few bullet points. They're like salient points as far as you're concerned. And then in other episodes, what we're going to do is have a bit of a
Mm,
sort of deep dive into it, because
mm.
there is a plan. We've got a plan.
There is a plan. I
There
mean,
is a plan.
in its most simple form,
Yeah,
if we think about patterns and learnt behavior,
yeah,
you could easily get into the pattern of, just for example, to illustrate how the mind, emotional, and behavior interacts. I feel bored, or I feel like, what I want isn't working. So because I feel bored, I go and eat some chocolate digestive biscuits, and
good
then
choice. Good choice.
I thought you'd like that. Then they impact and give me a spike in my sugar and nervous system. Then I feel a bit anxious, and then my body doesn't function as well. So this is in its most obviously simplest and raw form, but you can see how that original state of where we are consciously, I'm bored, it's not working, then impacts my behavior and my choice, which then impacts my body, which then impacts my emotions and my physical body again. So it's a constant loop. Whereas perhaps when I feel bored or something isn't working, I think, well, how do I raise my conscious awareness in this situation? What can I do to bring myself out of feeling bored, or, this
Yeah.
certain thing isn't working?
Mm.
And I go this way. Do you see what I mean? So it's that immediate conscious choice that changes everything.
Okay, so you're kind of saying, right, I've walked downstairs, I'm approaching the fridge, and I'm about to have a dangerous liaison with the chocolate biscuits.
Yeah.
Now, what should I be asking as I put my hand on the handle to open that fridge door? What should I be asking myself?
What am I hoping to get from eating this?
So, a temporary um, pleasure fix from the biscuit. Now, that in itself, I would argue, isn't an issue.
No.
It's if I find happiness in one, and then two, and then three, and then I keep repeating it throughout the day. And then suddenly that packet of biscuits is a distant memory. The wrapper's in the bin and the biscuits are in my belly.
And guess what? You still feel bored, and that what was
Yeah,
there is still there.
exactly. So I'm trying to use something almost like um, a distraction. That's it. I'm trying to
Yes.
distract how I'm feeling
Yeah.
with an external thing, the
Hmm.
biscuit. Now, it could be anything. It could be a can of beer, it could be a glass of wine, it could
Yeah.
be whatever. Now, so what I should be saying is, why do I feel the need to distract myself in that way? And you could say, well, it's because you feel hunger. So I could say, well, is there a better way of satiating my hunger than the chocolate biscuit? or many of them. So we could say, if you just have one, that's fine. If you make healthier choices because you see the correlation between this behavior and an end result further down the line, then we are becoming more conscious. So how do we develop a healthier awareness, and what's going to be the benefit?
It's about starting to feel what is real in the moment. So, what is real in this moment is that I am experiencing discomfort because I am bored and what I want to work isn't happening.
Okay.
So, I start to actually feel and acknowledge the discomfort rather than go and take the edge off by eating a packet of chocolate biscuits.
Okay.
Then, if I still feel like eating one, maybe, but it's probably going to change the dynamic of, eating to avoid feeling the discomfort.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe there's a happy medium. There's a happy medium between feeling the discomfort for a moment and acknowledging, and then maybe still, you know, what is the world all about? It's about having a chocolate biscuit sometime. But there's often a hidden gem in allowing yourself to feel the discomfort of something. Because as you start to feel it and acknowledge it and sit with it, sometimes that leads to an insight.
So, for example,
So if something isn't working, so say I've set up a new project and it's not working. So instead of just keep trying or go and distract myself with something, if I am prepared to just allow a few days of noticing the discomfort with that and feeling into it, allowing just myself to be in the moment with the irritation, or then sometimes there's something that just starts to be acknowledged underneath that, of actually maybe there's another way, or maybe a thought will come in as to, a different way of going about it. Or maybe suddenly I realize there's somebody I could contact to help. Because instead of distracting ourselves
yeah.
with something, we're actually allowing ourselves to just be with it. And then insight, as things settle and some of the discomfort is eased because we've felt it, everything stills, and then insight can arise or come into our awareness.
Mm, okay. So it's sometimes we have to kind of be with not seek to escape the discomfort, but to be with it, to see what message is coming
Beyond it.
from it.
Yeah.
Mm. Any final thoughts before we think about bringing this particular episode to a close?
I would love for you to just share perhaps a experience for you where you've been really consciously aware, and then a time when you haven't, and how the outcome has differed.
Um, Pass, for example.
So
I need to
maybe,
understand the question.
yeah. So thinking about a time when you've been in a place of receptivity and
Mm,
stillness,
yeah.
and then a time when perhaps you've been overwhelmed or stressed, and how it has
Okay.
differed.
Yeah. So I would say when when I've had over the course of my life, I've had, quite a few aha moments. All right.
Mm,
Where I've just perceived something that has been profound for me, and it's an idea, it's a thought, it's a process, it's a perspective. It's been when I've been in those very peaceful,
yeah.
calm moments when my mind, to kind of paint a picture here, when it seems like my mind has become like a lake where the surface is like a mirror and there's not a breeze and it feels like I just perceive stuff effortlessly. and I just become aware. So maybe a thought has come into my mind, or I've had a thought, and it feels like I perceive the solution almost too easily. So I've been in this receptive state of mind, and I feel like the answer comes without effort. Then there are other times maybe where I feel the emotion building up inside me, and I feel anger, or I feel frustration, or I feel a really strong emotion. And it feels like my perspective becomes very tunnel vision like.
Absolutely.
So it feels like the mill pond has been replaced by a boiling sea.
Yeah.
And it feels like I can't really see what is past just this area right in front of me. And what happens is it feels like I can't perceive lots of different perspectives. It feels like there is only one thing happening in my mind. It feels overwhelming. It feels like I just can't escape it, and I feel stressed, and I feel anxious, and I feel like I want to run away. That's how I feel about it, and so it's like it becomes a very unpleasant experience whereby all I'm experiencing is this sense of restriction and a sense of like the world closing in on me. And yet when I'm in these, it feels very much like a Zen-like state. I feel like I can perceive stuff almost without making effort. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great place to leave everyone with, because that is the example of being more conscious, is being
Hmm.
in a centered
Yeah.
state.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be revisiting different aspects of this, and we're going to be expanding upon areas that we feel are relevant, and maybe the listeners or the watchers, will gain something from, because it is all leading somewhere, and there's some very exciting plans in the pipeline for how we want to um, use our experience to help people maybe make decisions and to understand themselves and other people with greater clarity. And so we would absolutely advocate keeping in contact with us, and please do listen in or watch the episodes, because um, we've been working on stuff for a considerable amount of time now, and we're very excited that there's stuff to be shared that we feel has um, genuine purpose to help us live the best life possible. So, Liz, I'll leave the last words to you, but I just want to say thank you so much to all that listen or watch, and please do feel free to share with others. And we'd like to share our weirdness with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for listening to us, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.